everyone. I'm so glad you're here. I don't know what's going on, but there's been so many technical issues today. Technology's just not been my friend. Let me know in the chat if you've had a great day. What's been the best thing that's happened to you? And am I the only one experiencing a few technical difficulties? Would be lovely to know. Welcome to another episode of Networking Know How, where I share a couple of our simple tips that we use inside of our Down and Dirty Networking online community so that you can network more meaningfully and stress free. If we haven't yet connected, I'm Laura Morlando, the Stress Commando, and I am the founder and CEO of Down and Dirty Networking. And today I've got a really great topic for us to dig into. And it goes off of what I did last week. So I attended a more traditional networking event. I was their speaker, and it was really awesome to utilize what I'm going to share with you, the secret tip of how to leverage your direct messages or DMs, as some people call them, to really weed out those that are just ready to pitch you or to connect on a more relational level, how to connect more deeply, instantly, how to make things more meaningful right off the bat, leveraging DMs. I'm going to share a couple of secret tips that I have utilized in the past week that have been super helpful. And I feel like these could be really helpful for you. So we're going to dig into it. But first up, make sure I can see chat. I see some people watching live, so I'm glad you're here. If you're here, let me know where you're watching from. I love that because of the virtual world, I can connect globally with people all over the world. So I love to know where you're tuning in from, even if you're watching on replay. Let me know because I do respond to every single comment. Even on the replays and on live. So thank you so much for watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. However you're watching us today, definitely appreciate that. All right, so let's kind of dig into the topic. So first off, let me explain a few different things that I might have glossed over in the intro there. So there's actually two types of networking. There's traditional networking, which is more transactional focused. And this is where you have a 30-second commercial or a pitch, or you attend an event where you've got your introduction and your pitch ready to go. Like I said, a 30-second commercial, or sometimes called an elevator pitch. That's what is traditional networking. And you're looking to exchange ideas, business cards, leads, maybe job offers, depending on what the event is all about. But it's very transactional in nature. But I have this other way of networking I call relational networking. And that is what Down and Dirty Networking is founded on. We are a 100% relational online community. What this means is there are no pitches, there are no introductions, we don't have any speakers. What it's about is having meaningful conversations to learn from and about someone to build lasting and authentic relationships. And so, what happens when you need to attend a traditional networking environment, but you really would prefer more of a relational networking experience? Well, the first thing is you're going to want to adopt a relational networking attitude because if you lean into a traditional networking event with the attitude to have a meaningful conversation, to learn from and about someone, then your interaction is going to change because you're going to be less likely to want to pitch somebody. You're going to lean into one of our core values here at Down and Dirty Networking, which is talk less, question more. And you're going to want to learn more about them, get curious. This is what starts to peel back the onion of the conversation and make it more meaningful much more quickly. This is where you're asking questions, not how are you, or, what do you do for a living? You've got more meaningful questions like, what's the best thing that's happened to you recently? Now, these are the ways that you lean into relational networking. But today's topic is, how do you take that from an online experience, and especially in direct messaging, to create that more meaningful conversation when you're not maybe face to face, or maybe we're not live and in person on some virtual platform? How do you do that in the DM? So this is a secret trick I'm going to be diving into today. So let's get into it. So first up, when you've been at an event, one of the easiest way for people to connect is using social media. For me, that would be LinkedIn. For Down and Dirty Network, and we leverage on LinkedIn. Though we are on Facebook and we do utilize YouTube, LinkedIn is our primary platform. So number one, I would tell you to pick what your primary platform is for you. So let's assume it's the same as ours. So LinkedIn, what you would do is drive everybody to that platform to private message you so that it's really, really easy for you to connect. Now, that's what I did during the talk. I drove everybody to LinkedIn. What was really helpful were those that were on LinkedIn. Trick number one is they put a comment and messaged me in addition to the connection request. They didn't simply send the connection request without any message attached. It was, hey, it was great meeting you at this event. Loved hearing your presentation. By putting the event name, when I come back across that message later and I'm like, how did I know this person? In my DMs, I'll be able to look and say, oh, this is how I met them. So, secret trick number one is if you're going to connect with somebody, always attach a message in their direct message, whether you're doing it on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, however you're doing it, and make sure you say how you met them because that becomes this historical record for you and them to remember, oh, that's how I know this person. So, that's secret tip number one. Secret tip number two is anybody that I got a request from that was probably around the time that I did the speaking engagement last week. I could almost assume that I met them at that event, but I wasn't entirely sure. So when you get a connection request, one of the things I love to do in the DMs is thank people for reaching out. So thank you for reaching out. I'm curious, what made you decide to connect with me? I look forward to co-elevating you, cheering you on. So here at Down and Dirty Networking, we co-elevate, collaborate, and connect. And I love leaning into that word of co-elevate because it sets the tone for I want to be relational. I want to co-elevate. This is going to be a two-way conversation, not a one-way conversation. And there's another magic in that phrase. What made you decide to connect with me? What is less defensive? It is talking about the fact versus why. When you say what, people are more inclined to want to reply. So even if you're doing a survey, what is always a better question and higher likelihood for engagement than why? So just a fun marketing fact to kind of share with you there. But I digress. So back to the question. What I found is when I've put this in there, people are like, oh, I saw your presentation today. They'll say something nice. And so now I can get into a conversation with them in the DMs. One of the things as a marketing consultant, so the other hat that I wear, one of the biggest mistakes I see people utilize social media for is a billboard where they advertise. And it's no different than transactional networking where it's buy my stuff, do this, buy this, buy this. It's like billboard advertising. The purpose of social media is to increase awareness and authority and to have conversations with people. And you have conversations in comments, but you have more meaningful conversations if you get them off of the page and onto your DMs. And so once you're in the DM reaching out to people saying, what made you decide to connect with me? And you end with something positive like excited to co-elevate with you, cheering you on. This allows you to have a more meaningful conversation. And for someone who's open to co-elevate and open to having a relational discussion with you, they're going to engage in that like fashion. Every now and again, I will ask that question, and two other things will happen. One, nobody responds. So now I know when I go back and I look like, oh, wait, who is this person? I know they never even replied to me. So I realized, okay, this is someone that either A is brand new to the platform and is unfamiliar with how to utilize this particular social media platform, or they're just interested in what they can get from me. The second person I'll find is the type of person that will reply very honest, which I appreciate, very straightforward. I'm looking for and thought you'd be perfect for, where it's 100% they're there to pitch me. And so when I sense that, I will typically reply, thank you so much for your honesty and letting me know. I only do business with those I have a relationship with. So I'm looking forward to building one with you and getting to learn more about you and from you. Sometimes they will engage. Most times they keep pitching and then back away because they take it as a no. So for me, I have set a ground rule that I will only do business with those that I can build a relationship with. I want to surround myself with heart-centered relational vendors, suppliers, clients, members of my communities, including Down and Dirty Networking. That is something I've defined for myself. So if that resonates with you, then you go do the same thing or sit down and just kind of think for a second and maybe write out who do you want to attract? And I don't mean people with money. I'm not saying clients. I'm not thinking for a transactional answer. I want you to unpack your adjectives and decide the type of personal characteristics you want. I know I want them to be heart-centered, open to relational conversations, open to relational networking, wanting to build lasting and authentic relationships. So if this resonates, augment that for you. And then show up that way in the DMs with everybody you connect with. This is how you have something that's more relational. I have had some of the best conversations in the DMs in the past week with people that I connected with at the event. They heard the presentation, and there are those that have just simply found my posts, things that I've posted for Down and Dirty Networking, things I've posted for myself, and they've reached out, and I've utilized the same strategy. Thank you for reaching out. What made you decide to connect with me today? So excited to get to know you, cheering you on. Looking forward to co-elevate. Anything to that kind of nature sets the tone for the type of person you are and the type of networker you are. And that's how you're going to attract those people. Weed out those that are simply there to pitch slap you, and find the ones like you that want to have more of a relational conversation. And then, should the conversation continue, then where it's appropriate, you can get on a phone call or jump on a Zoom or some virtual face to face, or where physically possible, get into a face to face meeting. Now, I'm 100% virtual due to the health conditions that I experience. So I rely very heavily on the phone in the virtual space. But this strategy really works. I met somebody at the same group that I attended as a speaker, and we had a wonderful one to one just earlier today. And it was not the typical one to ones that people know from traditional networking, it was a conversation over coffee, and we had a connection. It was an awesome conversation where we connected on a more deeper level, and we were able to get to know each other in a more meaningful way. And there was nothing sold. Zero things sold, zero things transacted. But I do believe not only have I met another inner circle person in my professional network, but even in my personal network. This is how much this person and I connected. And we figured that out by the way that we were interacting online in the DMs. So I hope this was helpful. Just to kind of recap, make sure that when you're sending out requests to connect with people on your social media platform of choice, make sure you're letting people know where you've met them, why you're reaching out. It will be more of a historical record for them and for you when you're going back through your DMs to say, wait, how do I know this person? So that's very helpful. And it also sets the tone that you are really there for something more relational focused and not simply to pitch slap them. So that's really helpful. Should someone do that to you where they do a request and you're like, I don't know who this person is, follow up with a DM. The purpose of social media is to have conversations in DMs. So go ahead and ask them. Use the template that I gave you where, hey, thanks for reaching out. I'm curious what made you decide to connect with me today. Looking forward to co-elevate with you, cheering you on. And just see who responds and follows up. I hope this was helpful. This is how you lean more into relational networking like we do here in Down and Dirty Networking, and how, if you are engaging in traditional networking, you can do it in a more modern, meaningful way by leveraging a relational networking mindset. So get up and chat, especially those of you watching live. Would love to know what you think about this. Has this been helpful for you? How do you leverage the DMs, the direct messages, to really establish conversations with everybody else? How does that work for you to leverage the social media platforms in a way that can be more meaningful and not pitching somebody? Here's the side note, the bonus tip that I will give you. When you are engaging in relational networking and your focus is transactional, but you really lean into that relational networking mindset, you will attract more business. I promise you, you will attract more business. Even when you abandon that as the means for why you're doing things, people buy from people. They want to buy from people they can know, like, trust. We've heard this. But you can't know, like, trust if you don't know somebody and feel comfortable with them and know that they genuinely care about other people and about you, and that they feel seen, valued, and heard. The only way you can demonstrate that you see value and hear somebody to be able to have them trust you with your business by being your client or giving you a referral or connecting you with someone that they know is if they get to know a little bit more about you. That is the purpose of social media, is to increase that awareness and authority figure. And you can do that by having meaningful conversations in the comments and then ultimately in the DMs. So leverage your DMs. If you haven't been, I would highly encourage that you do so. It makes all the difference. It's something I've been working on for quite some time since launching Down and Dirty Networking. And this is how I connect on a more meaningful level. And prior to having to be virtual, I wasn't very good in the virtual space. And so it just didn't work for me. Well, it's because I wasn't working it. So if you're struggling and you're watching this, you're thinking, yeah, but social doesn't really work. I'm going to suggest you haven't been working it. But if you prefer to do it more in real life, this works too, because this is the same strategy I used in real life when I was able to be out and about prior to diagnosis. And I assure you, a relational networking mindset yields far more opportunity, ideas, resources, and business, because people know, like, and trust you in a much more meaningful way. And they see that you see value and hear them. Because remember, people buy from people. They hire people. They refer people. They don't refer things and stuff that you sell. They don't. So think about who you would be attracted to, the kind of person you want to be, and then show up powerfully that way in your DMs and in person, and everything will change. So there's my bonus tip. But try the DMs. Let me know what you think. If this has been helpful, give me a thumbs up, drop a comment, tag a friend if you would love to tag a friend and say, hey, I think this would be helpful. And if you have a question or this wasn't really clear, get up in the DMs with me, ask your question. And if you're curious what would be a great topic for next week, and you're like, hey, I really want an answer to this. I'm curious about the answer to this. Laura, how would you answer this for networking? Or this is what I'm struggling with. Or, you know what, this is the thing I really dislike about networking. Shoot me a direct message. Let me know what it is. And you never know, it might be a future topic that I get answered in one of our Wednesday networking know-hows. Now, if you want more tips, our networking boost, which is our newsletter, just dropped earlier today, this morning, on our LinkedIn and Facebook page. So go to the Down and Dirty Networking Facebook or LinkedIn page to check out the latest edition of Networking Boost, and you'll get to know the 5 top tips that networkers are using to skyrocket their business. So you can take a look at those and see, hey, am I using these 5 tips? If not, one of these will probably work for you, and they're super simple and super effective. So check out Networking Boost on the Down and Dirty Networking LinkedIn, Facebook, and a LinkedIn and Facebook page. I think I was trying to say that. And stay tuned every Wednesday afternoon. I go live for another edition of Networking Know-How, where we discuss, maybe I'm answering one of your questions, but I discuss a tip that is helping you be more relational in your networking approach. So you can be more effective and stress-free, like we are in our Down and Dirty Networking online community. All right. Thanks so much for watching. If you've been staying here till the end, I really appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you online on our LinkedIn and Facebook pages. And definitely, if you want more tips and you are new to networking, or you're trying to just upscale and upskill the way that you network in a more meaningful way, check out the Down and Dirty Networking YouTube page, and you'll be able to find some curated videos for whatever your situation is on how to leverage a relational networking mindset in the traditional space, and how to stay 100 relational and attract more relational networkers to you. So whether you're a student, you're an introvert, it doesn't matter. We've got a video there for you to give you some simple tips so that you can move forward more powerfully and actually love networking and not feel like it's a chore. All right. Thank you so much. I will see you next Wednesday for the next edition of Networking Know-How. And until then, happy networking.